Dear brother, welcome back, man. I'm glad you're here. Um, I hope you caught the morning podcast, man. I'll be on live every morning at 5:45. Coffee with Christian. Make sure you bring your coffee. Now I got my water, but earlier this morning I had my coffee. 5:45 every morning, man. I'll be down here, just getting us ready for work, getting us ready for taking care of our kids and the things we have to do. So I'm here, bro. 5:45 every morning. I'll be live, and we'll be able to talk and chat and get you ready for your day. All right, brothers. I want to talk today about how to recover after a major loss. What to do to recover. How to recover. I think that as men, we spend so much time building, and the pressure of the world is on us to build. The pressure of the family is to build. Everything's building, and we got to be there. We got to be there for every moment, and we got to be the major builders in the game. And I think that being a major builder in the game, if you're the major builder, you also are the first one to feel the loss. As real men, you don't want your wife to feel the loss. You don't want your lady to feel the loss. You don't want your kids to feel the loss. You know that as a man, you take that thing on your back. It's not pride, it's honor that the people I love don't have to feel this. Now, it's a whole nother video, but there are times where you do have to release how you feel so you don't explode. But as a person who is always carrying, then when the loss comes, you take that loss, and you're the first one that has to face that loss. Um, I know what loss is, from a lot of different aspects. I lost, my family, my daughter, my father, my mother in 5 years. I lost a 7 bedroom home. I lost my mind. I burned out. A lot of loss. I mean, just like you guys, we know what it is to take loss. Us guys in the Dear Brother podcast family, we know what it is to take a loss, and we also know that it's not weakness to take a loss. It's life to take a loss, and I think it's how you respond to it. 10% of life is what happens to you, but 90% is how you respond to it. So manhood is how you respond. It's not what happens. Don't judge yourself as a man by what happens to you. You can't stop that. The scripture tells us that time and chance happen to everybody. I don't care who you are, man, what you got, whether you got money, whatever you have, man, time and chance will touch you. Life will touch you. I was talking to my lady the other day, and we were joking about how this new trend is. These guys are saying, I'm him. Him is, I guess, the guy, him. And we joked and laughed, and I said, life will teach you that nobody is him. Nobody is him. Everybody, I'm him. Like life will teach you that nobody is him. Life is him. That's who's him. And so life will catch you up. And so I want to talk about recovering from loss, man, because either you've taken some or one. In life, you'll take many losses. They all won't be major, but the ones that are major, I want to just show you what to do with them. So number one, how to face a major loss. The first thing you have to do, brother, is you have to face the reality of where you are. You can't live in a fantasy of where you would like to be or where you used to be. You got to face the reality of this is where I am. This is the loss I took. When I lost my home, I had to live in a borrowed car in a parking lot with just a bag of clothes, right? I had to face that reality. I hated that reality, but I had to face it. And that's just what it is. There's no sin in hating the position you're in. That's what it is. That's natural. But you have to face the reality, because you can't live in a fantasy. Oh, it's going to come back, or, oh, this is no, right now it is what it is. And the question is, what am I going to do in this is what it is moment as a man? And I'm going to let my manhood rise up, right? Because manhood is not buff and strong. Manhood is thinking my way through it. This is where you find out where a man is. And for some of you ladies, I know, listen to this podcast. You don't check a man by what he has anywhere else. You check a man by his thoughts. You check a man by what he thinks and where he puts his time. Those are two things. That's how you check a man. What he thinks and where he puts his time is how you really identify manhood. But you have to be in the reality of where you are. That's the reality. I had to face the fact, man. Okay, I'm in this car. What I'm going to do, right? I still got to take care of my kids. What am I going to do? That's the reality, right? So you have to face the reality. Don't live in the fantasy, and don't continue in the pain of loss. Pain won't bring back what you lost. Self-identifying, right? That's what will take you where you got to go. Rehearsing pain does not recover loss, right? The rehearsal of it doesn't recover loss. When you face reality of where you are, and the other major thing it does is allows you to find yourself among the ashes. When everything's burned down, it reminds me of the Nehemiah story in the scripture. When all the walls were burned down, they traveled through the ashes to see what was left, right? That's what you got to do when you take a major loss. You have to pause and you have to look through your life. Don't say, I don't have anything. Don't say it's all done. No, it's something left. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times in big loss that you take, what you find out is you'll find your greatest stuff after you lost the stuff that you didn't need. It's a lot of stuff you think you really need in life, really need in your manhood, things you think you require to move forward. Man, you'll take a loss and you'll realize, man, the relief, man, I was holding on to that, because either you identified with it or you thought it made you something. And you realize the loss is everything. Mike Tyson said, man, he was glad, when he got knocked out by Buster Douglas, it was like the best thing that happened to him. Because he said, I finally could just let go, just breathe. I don't have to keep on trying to be this thing or hold on to this thing. He was happy when he took the loss. I'm sure bettors weren't, right? I'm sure people around you won't be happy when you take a loss, but I'm gonna tell you, the loss is the best thing. I found myself in my biggest loss, right? An international speaker, author, all these things. You dive so much into what you do and you can forget who you actually are. And my biggest loss of losing everything I had and having a few pieces of clothes and realizing that the applause was gone and who I was didn't matter. That's when I found out who I really was. I found real resolve and I was able to get where I had to go. And so face the reality of where you are. Number two, admit the flaw that earned you that spot. Right? As a real man, you can't live in a space where you blame other people. That's another way to identify a real man who's ready to take responsibility fully for where he is. Even if someone else has done things that cause him to get there, he knows it's his duty to find his way out. That's manhood, right? And so admit the flaw that got you where you got. Don't blame nobody else. Look around and say, okay, what did I mismanage? Because most of our losses, that's where it comes from. It comes from we mismanaged something. The goal is, let me figure out what exactly did I mismanage, right? Most of the time, it could be a money mismanagement, right? You took too much a risk over here, or you just wanted something real bad to satisfy some inner longing you had. Because I'm telling you guys, a lot of times we can identify our pain by how fast we're driving a car, by what we're purchasing in the moment. Right? You got to pay attention to these things because these things that you're doing suddenly will clue you off to where you are. Right. And so a lot of times it's mismanagement. Admit the flaw that earned you your spot. Was it mismanagement? Did I mismanage some money somewhere? Did I mismanage my emotions somewhere? Right. Did I mismanage my giving? Did I give too much without requiring anything? Did I give too much without thinking whether it was a good investment, even in people? You can make a bad investment in a person. You can make a bad investment in a woman, right? Because whatever you're doing you gave too much. There was no, that's where a lot of men get hurt in relationships. There's no balance of giving where I'm giving everything and she's kind of just receiving everything. And there's no mutual exchange. There's no love exchange in there, right? Or no emotional exchange. So, you have to admit the flaw that got you where you are. Did I mismanage my money, my time? Right? Did I mismanage my emotions? Did I mismanage my giving? Did I mismanage my anger? Right? The scripture says you can be angry. It says sin not, right? In order to not let your anger push you into sin, whatever that sin is, whether it's a violent streak, whatever that thing, whether it's hurting yourself or whatever it is, you got to get in touch with that because you got to know what it is and then know how to respond to it. You can be angry, but you can think. You got to think long enough to pause yourself, to think about what happened so you don't respond out of emotion, but you respond from a mental place. You start responding from a mental place, you'll make better decisions. Emotional decisions never land well, right? Even if it seems like it's going to be a good one. You can't fall in love emotionally. You got to fall in love from here. As a man, you do. Women can fall in love emotionally. Oh, my heart, I fell in love. Men, you can't fall in love. You got to walk in it. Because if you can walk in love, then you know how to walk out of it. Y'all hear me? Don't fall in love as a man. Walk in it. So you realize, man, this is not for me. You can walk out of it. You fall in love, you got to dig yourself up. You walk in love, you can walk out of something that's toxic. All right. Did you mismanage your disappointment? Right. What did you allow your disappointment to do to you? Right. Did the disappointment take you too far? Right. Did you harm other people because you were disappointed? Right. Did you mismanage it? Number 3, stand up. Stand up. That's what it is. You got to stand up. I was watching this thing and some of y'all might have seen it years ago. It's like this little kid and he's drowning in like this much water. right? And he's flaring and he's laying down and oh, he's going to die. And somebody comes up and says, stand up. And then at that point, the water was like at his ankles, right? Just because he stood up, right? You don't have to know what to do. I can't give any more thumbs up. I can't believe this thing just did this. You don't have to know what to do all the time. You don't have to know what to do next. Sometimes the step is just to stand up. Stand up so you can look around and say, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it was. Your mind will create a storm and make it worse than it is, right? When Jesus was on with his disciples on the boat, they were in a bad storm, and he was in the bottom of the boat asleep, and they ran down there and they woke him up because the storm started taking over the boat, and he woke him up. They shook him and said, "Don't you care that we are drowning?" They weren't even drowning. Their mind said, "We're drowning." Here they are, breathing, simple. Boat hasn't been taken over. They're going down there to get help, and in their mind, they were already dying. Bro, that's a mental game that the enemy plays on all of us, man. Right? It's an enemy of your mind, bro. That will make you, I'm dying, I'm getting, you're not. You're not, but the mind will tell you it's all over. It's not all over. Stand up. Stand up, look around. Stand up and do a 360 of your life. Stand up and see what's left. Stand up. Stand up, man. That's what men do. Stand up and see what's left. Number 4, remember the value of having when you had your grass. Remember the value of what it was to have things together. What that does is it lifts you to go put things back together better than they were before, right? Because now you know, okay, in this loss, this is what caused me to take this loss. So in your building, remember what caused the loss. So you're not putting that in your restructuring of your life, right? When it's dark, just a little light will feel like sunshine, right? So when it's dark in your life, do that 360, look around for a little light, man. It may be an old photo. It may be something from high school, man. It may be something that just when you remembered you. You hear me? That little light is when you remember you. And when you remember you count, and you remember your virtue, and you remember you're amazing, and just that remember it, man. You just got to remember. And that's that little light that will let you know that something better is coming than where I am right now. Number 5. The 5th thing you have to do to recover your life. Go home. Go home. Go home. Go home. Well, go to Amazon and buy my book called Home Where Hurt Men Heal. Go get that. That's part of this. That's number 6. That's not part of that's number 6. Go get the book, but go home, right? And when I wrote this book, people think home is, I got to go home. Some of you men are divorced or left your wife. That doesn't mean that's home, right? Home is, where did I feel like myself? Where did I feel most like myself? I wasn't trying to be somebody else. I wasn't trying to be stronger than I am. When did I feel most myself, in touch with me, in tune with me, where I'm not pulling for straws or grasping? I'm thinking through my decisions. When did I feel most valuable, most strong, most accepted? Go home. Go home. Go home. Go home. And I was speaking one time in Philadelphia, and a brother raised his hand and asked a question. He said, Christian, I don't even know where home is. I said, that's fine. I said, what you do is you stop and you look within. Sometimes you can get so far off of who you are and who you wanted to be or who you were initially that you don't even know how to get back. Well, if that's you, you pause. You just stop. You stop walking. Because even when you get lost, you can be miles off course. But it's nothing better than knowing at least I'm back on the right road. It might take me 3 days to get back where I got to go, but at least I'm not going in the wrong direction, right? And so when you can't find home and you don't know where home is, you pause, you stop. You stop and you look within. That's where home is for everybody as a man. It's here. It's in your heart. It's in your gut. It's just this one I was tight. This one I was together, right? Having nothing to do with nobody else. It has nothing to do with who you was married to or this girl that was fly. It had nothing to do with that. It has something to do with you. When was I most me without anything standing me up? This is how you recover from major loss. Face the reality where you are. Admit the flaw that earned you the spot you're in. Stand up, because you're not drowning. Your mind is telling you are. Remember the value of when you had it all together, right? A little light will encourage you to go on. Number 5, go home. Go home, find a place, embrace yourself. and go to Amazon and buy my newest book, Home Where Hurt Men Heal, man. I made it a short read on purpose, right? One, as much as a writer as I wrote 6 books, but I'm not a long reader, right? So I wrote this book for men to read. I put in my story of homelessness and how I recovered and all that. It's a great book. A lot of men in the country are being blessed by it. Yo, bro, I love you. You matter to me. Hey, man, I'll be live 5:45 every morning, on here talking to you guys because I care about you. Okay. Um, Dear brother, you're valuable, man. Be great today. Be great tomorrow. Be great every day. You're amazing. And I love you. All right. Um, hey, I'll see you tomorrow morning, 5:45. And visit my website, christianwinners.com. Visit my website. I do one-on-one counseling there. I do group counseling there, groups of 25, right? Or more, right? That's 4 hours of group session where we build a project together and everything as men. One-on-one counseling, group counseling. I was pastoring for 26 years. I've been in ministry for 30 years. So from some of you pastors, I'm retired now, but some of you pastors and spiritual leaders, ministers, go on my website, man. I got a spot right there in my service section that some consulting and counseling for you. And finally, go on there. My table of 12, once a month, I meet with 12 men virtually and we discuss. We dig in, right? We dig in just 12 minutes, an intimate setting. It's just the guys. We get in there and we dig in and we're pushing toward a big giant event where we can see men change this nation. Hey, I love you. You count. Tomorrow morning, 5:45. Peace.